yesterday, I installed 41 games. Um, and I've never had that ability ever. So all I can tell you is 8 terabytes, definitely worth a couple $100 for a hard drive. If storage is one of your things that you're lacking. Now, uh, if we actually sit here and do I mean, I still got 3 terabytes of space. Okay, plus. Okay, let's just do the math. So that is point. That's half a terabyte. 3.2 plus 1.8 plus 1.5. I still got 7. I still almost have a whole 8 terabytes left. Okay, that's what 41 guys. I've always had to manage what I had installed, and with the old system, before getting this 8 terabytes, I mean I could only install 3 games at a time. But nonetheless, let's stop that. Okay, and get into the reason why we're here. Okay. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Putty. Okay. All right, now Putty is a software, a terminal program for you to log in to devices that have communication ports, okay, or telnet or SSH, a way of accessing your devices via a terminal window, okay. All right, now, our first thing here is our session. That is where we get to choose what we want to do. Either serial, which will be our COM ports, okay, our SSH, or our other, which would be like telnet, okay, or RL login, which we're never going to use, or raw, which we're never going to use, okay, or bare SSH connection. I've never had to use any of these besides telnet. Okay, but I've used Telnet, Serial, and SSH. Those are all the only ones I've ever used, unless there's some kind of special issue where I need to use rlogin, which I never have, or raw data. Raw data would be something like a device that actually would kick out literally just raw ones and zeros, I guess. Okay, or raw data from its whatever language it is using to communicate. I don't really know. I've never had to use it. Okay, I'm a Cisco guy. All right, I'm a PC guy. All right, and that's just what it is. And when I say a Cisco guy, I'm literally a networking guy. Meaning, if I have to log into a Juniper or a Fortinet or something like that, it's always going to be SSH, Telnet, or communication. Okay, or an F5 device. Okay, I've logged into all those. Now, okay, session is your most important. Okay, now here, your IP address and your port number. All right, which is most important. Okay, now remember the port number is at your layer 4, and the port number is what you use to access the device. Meaning that if I want to access the device and it's on port 8044, okay, a port number that I chose. All right, I will put that here, and I will be able to SSH or telnet into that device. Okay, all right. Now, your serial devices, which would be your COM ports, okay, those are based on the vendor specific parameters. Okay, meaning that if I'm logging into an F5, okay, it might be this. Okay, whatever my COM port number is in 9600, but whatever F5, okay, recommendations is, that's what you need to use to log into your device. Meaning that you need to go to the documentation or call the vendor. Alright? But that is our login session. Very simple, straightforward. All these things on here, I just leave by default, don't really care. Okay? Second thing we're going to worry about is our appearance. And right here is our fault settings. This allows you to change your font, okay, whatever font you want to use, and your size of your text. I use 14 because it's the biggest text before, because if I use 16, 16 is big enough where it'll start overlapping your text down to the next line, and I don't want that. I want to be able to see the entire thing, the way the output, the way it's supposed to look on the terminal without it going to the next line. Okay, so I like 14 as the size, and that's as big as I can get. Okay, and your colors. Okay, this is where you modify my colors. This is why my screen, okay, for my foreground, all right, is modified to this color. All right. Okay. All right. So now, in my session, okay, let's say I do 1.1.1.1. Okay, it's telnet. Oops. Okay, 1.1.1.1. Notice that the port number for telnet, okay, is 23. All right, that's telnet's. That is your normal telnet port number. Now, we have not discussed port numbers yet, but still, okay, that's the normal. SSH will be 22. So if we switch over to 22, bam, okay. Okay, so let's leave it at SSH, and let's call this session KIEL, okay? And I'm going to save that session, and that's how we get this down here, okay? All right? Now, whatever I save underneath Kyle, okay, will be the parameters for that session, and you be very specific on what you log into. Okay, so let's say this one is red text, because when we log into this one, this is a core device. I'm gonna make that text red. So every time I log into that device, I know that that text that's red, okay, so the yellow, all right, I know the text that is red is a no reboot device. Put it that way. Okay, all right. Putty is very simple, okay? Saving your sessions, okay? All you got to do is click on that session, all right? Now, while you're in Putty, you can right-click, okay? You can actually go to change settings, okay? And make your changes here and hit apply for the session window. Now, you got to understand, whatever changes you make in here, if you don't save it to the session, once you close this window, it's gone. Okay? Now, the last thing I'm going to show you with Putty, okay, because Putty is a very simple program. All right? Actually, yeah, let's just bring up this one here. Oops. Okay? Now, let's go back into Putty real quick. All right, let's do it here. Okay, all right, and let's go to our default settings and load. Okay, and now whatever I change in here, notice that my colors are not. Oh, I guess it is change the foreground. My bad. Okay, so I did change that. All right, but if you want a default setting, you can change all those as well. Okay? It doesn't matter if you delete that default settings, because you just create your own and just call it default. It doesn't really matter. Those names are what you just determine them to be. Okay? But, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm thinking of secure CRT. That's why I couldn't find what I was looking for. And change the subject real quick. But so my bad on that one. Okay, so now another cool thing is this. All right, I am going to go into this folder here. I'm going to say new folder. Okay, and I am going to right click. First, I'm going to bring this up. All right, let's kind of bring this over here. All right, now I'm going to go in here and change settings, and I'm going to click on logging. Okay, now I'm just going to call it, you know what, I'm going to change this .log to .text. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a .log file. All you're going to do is right-click on it and say open up with, okay, all right, and open up with, actually, you know what, No. I'd say open up with Notepad. Okay, so we're going to do all session output. Okay, and I'm going to hit apply. Oh, well, excuse me. I guess that's a security thing before. I mean, as well. So it's my bad. Or I might be wrong. So let's go back to settings. Change settings. Logging. All right. Change the log. Matter of fact, let's hit browse and save this to this folder, which is the one I just created, which I didn't do last time, and hit apply. Notice that popped up immediately, and it's actually in a text, so I can just double click it and read it. Okay, now notice, check this out. Okay, I hit 5 times on this console, okay, and look at that when it refreshes. Okay, beautiful. Now, here's another thing, okay? I want to save my configs. So I'm going to go ahead and say, show run. Okay, now, it only brings up how many lines? Okay, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay? I think I miscounted there. I think it's 20. But nonetheless, okay? Those are all the lines that it will do. But I have to keep hitting space. Okay? And every time I do that, it's going to have this more here. Okay? So now, I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen. Alright? Notice, see how it's updating, okay? Now, here's the thing. This logging only happens, okay, in this text file when the session's open. And what happens is, when you're doing a change and stuff like that, and the window closes or freezes up, you go back in the window and you forgot to add back to this file. Okay, so now like half your change is logged. Okay, and it sucks. Okay, or if you save it as a default in the settings, it starts overwriting your log file. That's why I never save the log file as a default setting. I make sure I go in there and have to manually do this. Okay, and give it each one a separate name and date. Okay, and there are lots of times that I can't prove what I did not do to change because someone's blaming me for something that I didn't do, and I have no proof in my log because I didn't log it. So, you know, it happens. But now, line console, I can't remember the command right now. Oh. God, I hate that. I got to get rid of that. Line console 0. Oh my. Oh, you know what? That's not in the console. Terminal length. Okay. Now, let's see if we can actually see what it is right now. Show terminal. I don't even think it's an option. 20. There it is. That's your history size. Okay? Alright? We are going to say terminal length 0. Okay? Show terminal. Okay? History is enabled. Oh, that's history. I'm sorry. That is when you do the up key. Okay? It'll save the last 20. I don't think it has the information as far as what the length is, but it doesn't matter. Okay, now let's go back to our stuff. Okay, you can see the commands that we put in all being logged. But now I want, okay, and we're going to do this. Saving. Here, we'll do it this way. 1, 2, 3. Saving. Configs. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so anytime you put an exclamation point in the beginning of the thing, it just does that. Okay? That's what the exclamation points are for in this situation, because think of it as me adding a comment in my log. Okay? So now, all that crap came in. You see, it tried to save it in there, but nonetheless, okay? Don't know why I did that. Don't really care. Okay, but now I'm going to do a show run. Look at that. There's no length in my terminal length with the command. Okay, meaning now I have saved my entire config. Okay, all right. Now I'm gonna add this video in a like a subsection. Okay, so if I have video 40 or video 15, whatever. Okay, and I saved 15A. Okay, that's going to put that in the spot where, okay, well, that's a subcategory. Okay, because I really should have done this at the beginning of the course, so I'm gonna add it, accordingly. But that is the basics of Putty. Okay, all right. Now once I close this, all right, this is still in here. Okay, it's a nice way, and you gotta understand that terminal length is only for the live session that you're doing. Okay, you're not changing anything. Okay, from a command line perspective. So let's go back into here. All right, which means, where are you? You gotta type it in, Mr. Martin. Okay, come to. Okay, all right. Show run. I was wrong. This is why I always check my stuff. Okay, so terminal length 20. Show run. Okay, so it does affect that. So once you do this, you need to go back to what it was before. Okay, I would say it's a little bit shorter than it was before. Okay, because you notice before this was at the all the way at the top of the window, for what I remember anyway. So nonetheless, okay, and I can always go back or even go into here, okay, and count the lines when I did have the more statement in here, okay, which will be, let's see. I think that's where it starts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it was 25. So let's go back. Okay, now for a what just happened? Oh, that's funny. I put that command in there. Okay, and as you can see, it goes all the way up to the beginning, like I was saying before. Now, okay, so if you leave this to terminal 0, okay, what happens is, especially when you're at work, okay, you got thousands of lines of code. Someone goes in and hits show run. Okay, it doesn't matter from a courtesy perspective. Yeah, put the terminal link back to where it was. But any engineer, okay, all right, that sees that and it goes all the way down, okay, if they have a problem, okay, they need to speak up, saying, something's wrong with the terminal, I can't, it scrolls all the way down, and someone's going to say, oh, well, I did that, my bad, I'll go back and change it now, or, they'll teach them the terminal length command. It says, just to, put it back to 25. I'm sorry, and next, I'll try to do better next time. All right. So, nonetheless, all right, whatever you know from this perspective, all right, remember whatever I'm teaching you Putty is going to work in Secure CRT, whatever other terminal program you might use. All right, because this is a command on a switch, not specific to a terminal application. All right, I hope I said that correctly. Now, okay, so but this gives you the ability to save configs because nobody wants to go through and hit spacebar 20 times to get all the way down. Now, okay, if that's the case, all right. Okay, that's what we do. Okay, as we're scrolling through configs, we'll do that to get to the section we need, or we will copy it like this and put a notepad and do a Control H. Okay, and also not Control H. Sorry, Control F. All right, and try to find what we're looking for. Okay, all right. I think I might have hit dual buttons here. Let's see that. Okay, yeah, I must have. I got fat figured that. So nonetheless, that's Putty in a nutshell. Okay, all right. So now I will see you guys on the next one.